Hello, one and all. My name is Kathy. Welcoming you to this crafty edition of the Scrap and Crafty Gardener. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make these wood pumpkins out of a Dollar Tree Tumbling Tower, aka Jenga blocks. Now, these are smaller. If you have the regular size Jenga blocks, you will need the same number. You will just have a much larger pumpkin. So let me show you what we need to do. Okay, these come from the Dollar Tree, and they're currently where I live $1.25 still. It used to be $1, but you need out of these 16 white blocks, or the unpainted blocks, per pumpkin. And then one of the brown blocks will get you 2 pumpkins. And you should be able to get 2 pumpkins out of this. So there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. That'll get us 1 pumpkin. 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, and 16, and you have 4 white ones left. So if you had 4 boxes of these, you could get 8, 9 pumpkins. Now, if you're lucky, some of the stores carry the all single colored blocks. Mine just carries the white and the brown mix. Now, you could make a brown pumpkin, or if you had some strong paint, perhaps like some gold spray paint. Wouldn't a gold pumpkin be awesome? But that's all you need. So I'm just going to set these brown ones aside. And you really don't need a whole lot of supplies for these. Now, I've been making pumpkins already, so I just use a small styrofoam bowl to hold it in. And then this is Glad Press Seal that I cover over. And I'm using, this is from Walmart. You can get it at almost any craft store. The Apple Barrel, this is a pumpkin orange, but any orange will work. And I just squirt that into my bowl. And you don't need a whole lot, because how I do mine, I just put a very light coat. And I have 2 that I've already started over here. A very light coat, so you can still see the wood grain through there. That's the idea, because I'm making distressed pumpkins. And you can see on here, you can still, I don't know if I can get it close enough, you can still see the wood grain. I just want a very light coat on these. So I have put down some wax paper. You could use parchment paper or anything that you use just to keep your desk tidy. And I'm only going to do 3 sides at once, but you have to do the whole pumpkin, all 4 sides of your wood. But I'm only do 3, and then I let it sit down to dry, and then I'll come back and do the next 3. So I'm doing the end. This is so I don't get paint everywhere, though I do tend to get paint everywhere. And as you see, it's just a very light coat, just enough to cover it. You can still see the striped wood underneath it. Doesn't take very long, and it doesn't take a lot of paint. So 1 bottle will get you quite a pile of pumpkins. And I'm going to keep this running so you can see how long it takes. Now, I will pause the camera when I pause for about a half hour, 45 minutes for the first coat of paint to dry. And then I'll come back and we'll paint the other 3 portions. Now, it's not totally necessary that you do all four sides, but depending on how you stack your pumpkins together, you will see the back side of quite a few of them. But these are very easy to do. Once I get all this first coat on here, not the first coat, but the first side's done, I will show you what other supplies I use to make these pumpkins. And thankfully, I left my cat upstairs today because every time I say pumpkin, which is his name, he goes, meow, like, what? Like he thinks I want him for something. And if you miss a little bit on one side, don't worry. When you come back, it's not a big deal if you play catch up and cover up a missed spot. You don't want to leave big glops of paint on there, which is why I use a sponge brush over and over until it's, as long as I keep the press and seal on it, this will be good for several days. So my paint won't dry out and I'm not wasting a lot of paint. Now, if you have a very thin coating on the bottom, that part will dry out, but your brush won't. So it's good to save supplies, resources, and money where you can. And a lot of this stuff I already had on hand. I use these Jenga blocks for a lot of crafts. Well, they're not really Jenga blocks. That's a brand name. Jenga blocks are about that wide and a little bit longer. So if you have some, you can use them. I wouldn't recommend going out and buying some of the name brand ones just to make these because they're like $10 and up, at least around here in Northwest Pennsylvania. But if you have some, maybe an old game that you no longer use and you were going to get rid of it, save the wood and make some crafts with it. And the neat thing about this is you can also use your card making and scrapbooking supplies. Of course, I don't use paint per se in my card making, but I do use some of the other elements. And we're almost done here. And I still get paint on my hands. That's okay. This is water-based paint, so it'll wash right off. But sometimes if you get it deep under your fingernails, it takes a good soak and a sharp nail file to get it out. But this is a good craft even for kids to do. So if you have your grandkids or your nieces and nephews over and you want to give them a little project that they can take home to their parents to decorate for Halloween or even Thanksgiving, you could do one of these all in brown. And you don't even have to paint them orange. Just think how they would look like in a teal color or even pinks and grays. Whatever color happens to suit the room that you're going to put it in. You could even do a black one if you're into goth, or maybe black and silver. And then you could use your supplies to stamp a face, or use your Cricut to cut some vinyl for a face on the pumpkins. You could turn them into almost anything. Three more to go. And these are a very good seller at craft shows. I made smaller ones in years past that didn't use as many blocks, and I would sell those at $3 a piece. This one, I haven't figured out a price yet. I'm thinking $4 or $5. It all depends on the area in which you live. Okay, I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my press and seal back over my bowl and set that aside. That paint will still be good when I come back. I have a wet wipe. I'm just going to get this paint off that I can. If you live in a very affluent area, maybe you can get $5, $10 out of them. Well, in that case, I would use the larger Jenga blocks and just make larger pumpkins and get more money. I live in a very rural, low economic status area, so you can't get a whole lot of money for things around here. Now, when I sell on Etsy, yes, you can get more money. Now, the brown I'm going to show you, I don't know if I can show you on camera because I usually use my husband's vise to hold it. But I need to cut this block in half, and I'm going to try. I think this is called a coping saw. I'm going to try doing it here on my desk. And it doesn't have to be straight. Okay, I'm just moving it off camera here. I'm going to finish cutting it with my coping saw. I just need to get it. I'm right over here beside. I'm like a foot away. And I'm just going to take my saw and cut that, and I'll be right back with you. I'm still here, but there we go. Doesn't take very long. And it doesn't matter if you have one side shorter than the other, because this is going to, and I'll show you how, I'll put it together on this one, just to show you. I'm going to take my nail file and just smooth off my edges. And that will sit on here. And it'll be a little crooked, and that will be 100% okay, because pumpkin stems don't come straight. Now, I'm using Aleene's original tacky glue for this. I just keep my bottle upside down. I have an old spray paint cap. I just set it in there. So I'm just going to put that on. Just showing you how to put the stem on so that this will be dry and we can work from this pumpkin after I get all these ones painted. I'll show you how to assemble them, but then we can start decorating these ones, if that makes sense. I'm just putting on just kind of a thick layer. Now, this is a nice glue and will hold wood perfectly firm for a long time. Where to do that little other piece? It was just right here. I didn't go anywhere. Okay, and I'll set those up to dry. All right. So I use Aleene's Tacky to put this whole thing together. All right. Now, also for this, I will be using my liquid pearls in the color brass, or if you have gold, anything shiny. Now, you can use stickles, but it tends to flatten out. And I use perfect pearls. All right, so I also have, this is just some cheap wire that I got from, this was from Joann Fabrics. This I actually ordered from, it was a bead company. Oh, Fire Mountain Gems. But you can use any browns, greens, and it doesn't have to be expensive. And I'm just going to cut about what size is that? A 10-inch piece. And I'm just using some wire nippers. And I'll need 2 of these. one for each pumpkin. Now this is an optional, because I like to put it on. It just gives a little decorative edge. And I'll cut 2 pieces. Now my green is a thicker wire. That doesn't matter. If you get the brown at Joann's, you can get any gauge wire you want to use. This is inexpensive, the green from Joann's, and it will last you a really long time. And actually, this is drying fairly quickly, so by the time I show you how to do this, I'll be able to flip over and paint the other sides. And then I'll take a break while they dry, because then we'll come back and put them together. All right, so for this, I take one of these blocks just to get the measurement. And then I crisscross this aside. Just crisscross it. Kind of going a little bit out of order. I usually put everything together, but I figured, well, while I'm here waiting for it to dry, I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so you've got your square. Then I just take a pen or a pencil, anything you have, and I'm going to wrap some curlicues around that. The brown, since it's a thinner wire, I use a larger pen. Now for oh, that's still pretty large. I want a small. Actually, I will use my paintbrush here that I use for my stickles. And now I'm just going to use that and do the same with the green. And it's a little bit of a thicker wire. I'm just following the paintbrush. So it kind of gives you that swirled look. Go a little further up on the brush. Okay, don't worry about how they look right now. Once you get it on the pumpkin, then you can adjust it. You could do that with your fingers, or you could use needle nose pliers if you want. I'll do the other brown one. Okay, and then just set those aside. Okay, and I think I can start painting. I will get a drink of my Kool-Aid here real quick. What I'll do is I'll paint a couple so that you can see how I'm doing it, and then I will pause it, finish painting these offline, and then come back when they're all dry. Now I just paint the other 3 sides. So I hold it by the ends I've already painted. And just do that. I'll do 4 of these and then sign off for a few minutes. That's why I put down wax paper. Makes for easy cleanup. And if you would paint these all at once and you want to lay your wet paint down, which you can do, it won't stick to the wax paper. You'll be able to pull your design off. And I just get cheap wax paper. I don't, I should say inexpensive. All right, I have done 4 of them. So I'm going to pause the camera, finish painting these offline, and then I will come back when they're all dry so that I can show you how to put them together. Okay, I'm back. The most of them are dry. There's still a few over here that's wet. So I'll show you how to put one together. I take my Aleene's Tacky glue again, and I'm going to take 4 of these and glue side by side. Make sure I'm on camera here, so let me move some of these out of the way. And I'm just going to take a wet one and wipe off the excess glue on the top. That one's still a little wet, but that's okay. And I'm just putting 4 together. This is the center of the pumpkin. And I just kind of squish them and make sure they're kind of straight. Now you can use your T-square from your card making to make sure that they're nice and lined up. And then I just wipe off the excess glue and I let them dry. Then I need 2 layers of 3. So we're just going to put 3. I always like to add more glue. It helps hold them together firmer. Now, I have tried gluing and then painting, but wherever you get the glue on top, paint will not stick. So that's why I paint and then glue. And this glue will dry nice and clear. You won't see it. So I have a 4, a 3, and a 3, and now I need 2 2s. Okay, now I need 2 singles. So I'm going to build the top layer, as I can do that while it is still wet. I just can't build the bottom layer. So I'm going to take one of the 3s and get that all nice and glued down. And that's going to go centered on the 4. And then a 2, and I like this side better, so I'm going to center the 2 on the 3. Get that extra glue. And then a single 1 will go right on the top of the 2s. And then I can build the smaller portion of the back layer, but I don't want to stand this up until it's dry. So I did the 3, the 2, and the 1. Now when these are dry enough, I will stand these up and glue the back on there. So I'll be back in just a few moments to show you how to put it all together. Okay, I'm back. It is dry enough to put together. It only took a few moments. It's still not 100% dry, so you don't want to decorate it when it's in this state, which is why I'm going to show you how to decorate the ones I have already put together. And that's how you put that together. So you've got the 4 in the middle, a 3, a 3, a 2, 2, 1, and 1. Now I will set that aside and let that dry overnight. You could give it a couple of hours if you wanted, but I'm going to go with an overnight. All right. So I'll take the one that I put earlier, showed you how to put the top on it. The glue is still wet on there. That's okay. Now I'm going to take these little tiny, they're a fabric leaf, little fall leaves. I got these at Dollar Tree. I know they're starting to get their Christmas stuff out, so I don't know if they still have their fall stuff. So what I'm going to do is take these green and browns that I had done earlier and just slip those down over. Now the brown, I'm going to put it on the other side. And then I'm going to kind of pull those up a little bit so they look a little different. And then these will be glued down with the leaves on. And I'm just taking my Aleene's glue and putting these down all over the top. I tried to alternate. I think there's like 3 or 4 colors in the package. Now you could use hot glue on this. That is perfectly fine and acceptable. I already have this that I'm using to put the blocks together. And some people use hot glue to put these wood blocks together. But my experience with hot glue is that if it gets cold or too hot, that stuff's going to dry and then just pop off. From my experience, it may work well for you, but if I take the time to put something together, I want it to stay together. Okay. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of this glue right on the wire, and not to worry, this will be hidden. Now I'm going to take, these are little styrofoam beads that come on fall flowers, also from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to pop some of these off. That one I won't use because it has color showing on both. But like where it was connected together, that's where I'm going to glue it down at. And I'm just going to put like some, like I did on this one, I just have a few here and there. Not all the way around. You can see that one stuck to my finger here. Once this glue is dry, it's dry, and these things are going to stay on there. I think I want to, there's a darker one here. I'll try and get this one off. Now, if you had beads that were pretty fall colors, they would look great on these. I just happen to have these, so that's what I'm using. I think I'll put one more in there. So I want 4 here. And then I'll come over here and put a couple. It doesn't take a lot of these to make one. So if you can find, sometimes they sell just the stems of these. But I have often found, as in the case with this one, this was like in fall flowers, and this was just a side stem of the flowers. So I used the fall flowers in another project, and I have these stems that I'm using on this project. I think one more, and I want one of these green ones, if I can get it off. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to let this one dry, and I'm going to take the other one, because once this is dry, then I use my Perfect Pearls and liquid pearls. So I want to show you on here how I'm using my Perfect Pearls. I have the Ranger Perfect Pearls, and I'm using Perfect Copper, and I just have a little sponge dauber here. You can use any dauber brush, and I'm just going to brush this on my pumpkin. Just gives it a little bit of a sheen. As you know, I like things sparkly if you've watched me make cards. Now you could use a toothbrush on this to get into the tight corners. I want to make sure I'm staying on camera here. I do apologize. I'm just brushing it on. And it gives a, let's see if I can get it up to the camera. It gives it a coppery feel. And see, I've got a pile in there. I'm just going to take my finger and brush that down. So I've used the perfect pearls. And now on this one that I have this on, this is where I'm going to take the liquid pearls, but I'm also going to use it on the plain one. I'm just going to randomly in here throw a dot, squeeze like a big bead of the liquid pearl. So it's like another one of these flower beads, but you can put it wherever you want and just give it a golden sheen. And the liquid pearls, they stay upright. Now I'm going to just take some of this and put it on my wax paper. And I'm just going to take a paintbrush, get a little on my brush, and I'm going to dry brush it on here. Just here and there, which adds a little bit more of a sheen and kind of distresses it a little bit. And it will dry back. And I'm not putting it everywhere, just here and there, because I already had the sheen on every petal from the perfect pearls. And I will also put some of this onto the brown stem. Just gives it an antique look. And if you get too much in one spot, like here, I'll put a whole bunch right there, and I don't want that big pile. I'll just take my wet one and tone it down to get it where you want it. Just here and there. And I can kind of take this a little bit. I'll put this on, and then I'll put on my other pearls once the top is dry. And you just need a small amount of that. There. Okay. That's showing you how to put it together. This is the one we just glued together, and you can see you can still shift it a little bit so it's not dry. This is why you want to leave it for several hours, if not overnight. And I'm going to leave that overnight. And I want to put this other one together, but that's how I make these. You don't need a lot of supplies. They're very quick. You could make this in a day with your grandkids. You don't even need the liquid pearls, the perfect pearls. If you have just gold paint, I would just maybe put a little on your finger and wipe most of it off and then brush it on. But that's it. I hope you like this project. I can't take credit for it. I've seen someone else do it, but how I decorate it and move things around, that is my own interpretation of it. I added the copper wire, just jewelry wire. You don't need anything special to add the little pumpkin stems and leaves. Here's, yeah, this is the one of the ones that I have done before. And that's how it looks on top. And this is how the sides look. Distressed. Now, if you're like, if I shine that right in the camera, you can definitely see the gold. But when it's just sitting on the shelf somewhere, you don't see that as much. Let's see if I can get it down. It just looks antiqued. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.